We're starting the papers this morning, and we're starting with Nigerian Tribune, which is a bit unusual for us, but you know, new day, new rules. Major headline in Nigerian Tribune is Tinubu orders aerial surveillance of Kwara, Niger, Kebbi forests. 24 kidnapped Kebbi schoolgirls regain freedom. Praise God. Oh.
Hallelujah.
Sanwo-Olu presents 4.2 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill to Lagos Assembly. CBN retains monetary policy rate at 27%. HID Awolowo dialogue. Stakeholders call for domestication of national gender policy. Health. We have skin lightening product used in high in children under 2 years in Nigeria. This is according to a study. Kidnapping. NUT threatens nationwide shutdown of schools. Catholic bishops warn against rising abuse in Sharia Hizbah operations. And yes, what are we starting with this morning?
Should I start with the skin lightening? Because it's a major problem. So the cosmetic use of skin bleaching products have become increasingly prevalent among young children in Nigeria, with maternal use emerging as a key associated factor. So in a new survey, a researcher said almost 80% of the respondents, children exposed to skin bleaching products, were less than 2 years old. The semi-urban community survey published in the journal BMG included 369 mothers with at least one child under 5 attending community immunization and infant welfare clinics in the 3 government-owned primary healthcare centers in Ile-Ife, Osun State. Now, between them, they had 792 children ranging in age from 1 to 59 months. The questions aim to find out how many of them used skin lightening creams, soaps, or lotions on their young children, and to explore their knowledge, attitude, and perception of the pros and cons of these products. Now, they found around 1 in 5, that's 19.5% of the mothers said they use skin lightening creams on their children.
Why?
Of these, 90% applied, that's 65, applied the products routinely, the rest used them intermittently. Now, infants and young children were the primary recipients of over 3/4, that's 81% of those exposed to these products. So let me just give the breakdown of the story. They said that there's a preference for light-skinned children, and that's why they use those products that have hydroquinone and all those things to brighten their children. And especially in Nigeria, a lot of people don't know how they pass this pressure to people. So you bring your child somewhere, they're like, your child is not glowing. Your child is not shining. Your child has no business glowing. So allow the child to be in their natural, because everything you put on the skin actually enters into the bloodstream. And for children, it's a lot worse. We have to be very, very careful. I just have to
there's a lot to be said. But I think, let me take this story, very important story. 24 out of the 25 female students recently abducted from the Government Girls Comprehensive Senior Secondary School, Maga, Danko, Wasagu local government area of Kebbi, have reportedly regained their freedom through a non-kinetic approach adopted by the federal government. So reliable security sources in Abuja told the Nigerian Tribune that, in a conference, that the release of the victims was facilitated through coordinated efforts by officials of the Office of the National Security Advisor and the Department of State Services, that's the DSS. And according to the source, the use of non-kinetic approach, which typically involves dialogue, negotiation, and confidence-building measures rather than military force, underscores government's shift towards resolving mass abduction crisis through peaceful means. The abduction of students, we already know the story of how the students were abducted. We were praying for this day, and we thank God for it. The only thing I wanted to confirm, I remember that there was an update from the state where they had said that there were actually 26. 2 of them had escaped, and there were 24. But here it's still saying 24 out of 25. So that's the only one I would like us to confirm. Are we missing any child, or everyone is back?
So that's on the heels, on the heels of the kidnapping, the Nigerian Union of Teachers on Tuesday issued a warning to the federal government, declaring that the continuous terror attacks, killings, kidnappings, mass abductions in schools are pushing the country's education system to the brink of total collapse. Mr. Audu Titus Amba, who is the national president of NUT, while addressing the journalists in Abuja with visible anger, condemned the latest attacks in Kebbi and Niger State. He warned that teachers across the country may be forced to shut down schools if government fails to guarantee the safety of learners and teachers nationwide. He also described as barbaric the killing of a vice principal and a security guard during the raid on government girls' comprehensive secondary school, MAGA, where the 25 students were abducted. Like, it's so funny how we're all talking about the girls, focused on the girls, but we also forget that some people also lost their lives, right? He also condemned the kidnapping of over 300 peoples and 12 staff members of St. Mary's Catholic Primary Secondary School at Papiri in Kwara local government area of Niger. He says, and I quote, that we consider these attacks on schools as unacceptable and therefore urge the federal government to stop the incessant attacks on schools and mass abduction of teachers as well as students in order to save education system from total collapse in the country.
Oh, okay, so I have this inside story, it's a health story. So a cross-cohort collaboration tobacco research group has harmonized information from about 22 long-term studies of predominantly U.S. adults who smoked and those who did not. And the researchers studied over 300,000 adults for almost 20 years. And they found that just one cigarette or 2 cigarettes daily puts every smoker at a risk of heart failure. And the study says that, tobacco smoke damages blood vessels, raises blood clotting, worsens cholesterol, and speeds plaque buildup, all of which harm the heart and circulation. Nicotine and other chemicals that is also present in cigarettes also affect heart rhythm and pump function. And so they said that, a day, even a day's use of tobacco puts a person at long-term risk of decade-long mark on the heart. So if you were predisposed to any health condition, tobacco smoking just accelerates it by 60% for one person compared to those who never smoked. So some people have genetically predisposition to some health conditions, but not everybody should be smoking. Particularly that,
Nobody should be smoking.
Nobody should smoke.
Let's look at our next paper of the Vanguard. Major headline: abductions. Tinubu orders 24-hour aerial surveillance on Kwara, Kebbi, Niger forests. 24 abducted Kebbi schoolgirls released. We have their pictures here. Insecurity. Reps protest rising attacks. Sanwo-Olu presents 4.237 trillion naira budget for 2026. Nigeria's high-level insecurity worrisome. Catholic bishops say Galatasaray may stop Osimhen from playing in AFCON. Task Systems, Nigeria tech firm, celebrated in the USA with Microsoft Best Partner Award. Dangote, Honeywell, partnered to raise refinery capacity to 1.4 MBPD. And finally, CBN retains monetary policy rate at 27%. Yeah. So let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the papers. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thank you for staying with us. We're still looking at today's papers, and we're just read out the Vanguard.
House of Reps finally debated the rising insecurity in the country, and they had a special plenary session on Nigeria's escalating insecurity, with lawmakers issuing some of the strongest self-indicting speeches heard in the chambers in recent years. The minority leader of the House, Kingsley Chinda, lamented that insecurity could not be addressed without unity and honesty. And he says Nigerians travel with fear, pray until their relatives arrive. They live in a country where government has failed its primary duty. And if we cannot protect lives and property of Nigerians as enshrined in our Constitution, are we worthy to continue to sit as parliament? They continue to chide themselves, from Chinda to other lawmakers who spoke. And, we criticized the senator that came, that we saw Congress debating us, although that's for economic reason. But we did not see our own lawmakers and senators debating the insecurity on ground. And so eventually they had this happen.
So I have rising insurgency, in Nigeria, talking about a food scarcity that's going to be coming if nothing is done. So the escalating insurgency across northern Nigeria is pushing hunger to unprecedented levels, threatening regional stability, according to the United Nations World Food Programme, that's the WFP. They are warning, and they made a statement yesterday, quoting the latest cadre harmonized which shows that nearly 35 million Nigerians are projected to face severe food insecurity during the 2026 lean season, marking the highest number ever recorded in the country. And in northern Nigeria, the lean season typically runs from June to August. Now, this is the period just before the main harvest, when food stocks from the previous harvest are already running low, prices are high, and many households face food insecurity. Now, they say in war-torn zones, insecurity caused by insurgent attacks prevent farmers from planting, tending or harvesting crops safely. Fields may be abandoned, which is already happening. Irrigation systems destroyed, and agricultural inputs, that's the seed, fertilizers, are inaccessible. Now, this reduces the local food availability just as stocks from the previous harvest are running out. And they talked about all the attacks that they have had so far in the different communities. So they are saying now that if we can't keep families fed and food insecurity at bay, growing desperation could fuel increased instability, with insurgent groups exploiting hunger to expand their influence, creating a security threat that extends across West Africa and beyond. They too are saying they are running out of stock, but they normally would support by sharing food to the communities. They are running out of stock. By 2026, they might not have anything to share to those communities. So we need to find a way to solve the insecurity issue so that people do not begin to die of hunger in our country.
People should start eating 010. The Central Bank of Nigeria yesterday retained the monetary policy rate MPR at 27%, citing the need to allow previous reduction to sufficiently transmit to the economy. Meanwhile, the Apex Bank disclosed that 16 banks have met the new minimum capital requirements, adding that 27 had raised the capital. The CBN Governor, Mr. Cardoso, announced at the end of the last Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the year in Abuja, adding that the Apex Bank recovered 2 trillion of the intervention funds in the last 2 years, although 4.69 trillion is still outstanding. He also, the committee also decided by a majority vote to maintain the current monetary policy stance with an adjustment to the corridor to retain the monetary policy rate MPR at 27%.
Okay.
Yes, and because he reaffirmed and stated that that they are committed to a data-driven assessment of development and outlook to guide future policy decisions that they will make.
Yeah. I have, the president has ordered a 24-hour security cordon around forests in Kwara, Kebbi, Niger State to link up with boots on ground following the surge in kidnappings and terrorist activities. So his directive came as over 20 persons. Just while we're celebrating the rescue or the return of the Kebbi girls, they're saying 20 persons, including a pregnant woman, nursing mothers, and children, were abducted Monday evening in a fresh attack on Ishapa, a community just 5 kilometers from Eruku in Kwara State. They said this is even as the cleric and traditional rulers yesterday raised alarm over the killing and maiming of people in some communities in Nasarawa State, as parents of abducted students in Kebbi and Niger State have pleaded with the government to rescue their children. As we know, the Kebbi children are back. And NUT is also talking about you took that story. So what we have here says that on X handle yesterday, the president ordered the Nigerian Air Force to intensify aerial surveillance over the deepest stretches of the forest where criminals were believed to be hiding. The operation, he noted, will run round the clock with air assets maintaining constant communication and coordination with ground troops. Dara explained that the directive will be in all axes where joint operations are expected to facilitate rescue of kidnapped victims. And communities in the affected regions have also been urged to provide timely intelligence on suspicious movements to aid security forces in restoring safety. And, you know, goes on and on talking about the different people who have been kidnapped. This is what we're dealing with right now. Somehow, I don't know, this message gives me a little hope that, okay, it looks like we're on ground doing what we need to be doing. I don't know if I'm the one that has missed it in the past, but it seems like we're giving really proper directions to the military on what to do, you know, to bring back those that have been kidnapped. It's really such a sad situation that while we're rescuing some are being taken away. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Any other paper in the Vanguard? Okay, let's quickly Go to the Daily Sun, major headline, UN predicts severe food crisis in Nigeria. BC took that already.
Go for it.
Sanwo-Olu, Soludo, Wifuru, OT present 4.23 trillion naira, 757 billion naira, 884 billion naira, 1.01 trillion naira budget for 2026. Tinubu seeks overhaul of legal profession to strengthen regulation, ethics, public confidence. Is that an Amaka or Nima story?
So budget.
Okay, wait, no, let me finish. Dangote Partners, Honeywell International to boost refinery capacity to 1.4 million barrels per day. UNICEF, NGE, DAME demand urgent reforms as insecurity, poor services threaten future of 110 million children. CBN, 16 banks scale recapitalization hurdle. And finally, insecurity, Catholic bishops demand end to Sharia law.
Okay, so I have the budget, we're in budget season.
Okay.
And so some states are taking their business seriously. Governor of Lagos State presented a 4.23 trillion budget to the House of Assembly in Lagos. Governor Alex Oti of Enugu State, Abia State, sorry, presented a 1.01 trillion budget for 2026. Governor Soludo of Anambra State presented a 757 billion naira budget proposal to the House of Assembly of Anambra State. And
seems very small.
You know, compared to Abia.
Yeah.
You know, but Governor Francis Winfrey of Ebonyi State presented an 8.84 billion naira budget to the House of Assembly.
8.8 or 884?
884, sorry. I put points.
Yeah.
English too much. 884 billion naira budget for 2026. I don't want to look into the breakdown of it because of time.
It takes time.
But these four governors are the ones who've seen their budget. So
anyone else?
budget to sit on it.
Yeah, the Catholic Bishops Conference of Nigeria, CBCN, has demanded an end to the implementation of Sharia law in some parts of Nigeria. Okay. The group restated that Nigeria is a secular state, hence the implementation of such an Islamic law in some parts of the country would amount to injustice to other faiths and infringement of the rights of Christian minorities. We also draws the attention that the persistent violations of the rights and freedom of Christian minorities in several northern states should not be allowed. Basically, just calling for that, yes. And then that he also encourages and praises the courage of Nigerians who, despite the trying times, continue to demonstrate remarkable resilience and trust in the promise of a better future.
Okay, ladies, so that's all we can take in the papers today. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll look at today's topics.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.